None of us are free. We are men of the Night's Watch.
The Night's Watch represents both the value and the pitfalls of duty in the Game of Thrones world. On this show, where so many characters are constantly guzzling wine, sleeping around, indulging themselves,
I am the god of chits and wine.
the Night's Watch is a stark contrast. These men live an almost monastic lifestyle.
You swore some stupid oath, and now you can never touch a girl.
And while everyone else is out seeking glory, they have sworn an oath to do the exact opposite.
I shall wear no crowns and win no glory.
They have an important but totally thankless job, protecting the wall that separates the realm from the dangerous, unknown area beyond.
Night's Watch is the only thing that separates us from what lies beyond the wall.
The Night's Watch may have been respected once, but by the time the show begins, it's looked down upon as a dumping ground for the scum and rejects of society.
I need him to turn this bunch of thieves and runaways into men of the Night's Watch.
I'm here to find men for the wall. See if there's any scum in the dungeons that might be fit for service.
Being sent to the wall is more often than not a punishment.
I hope you enjoy the wall. I found it surprisingly beautiful. In a brutal, horribly uncomfortable sort of way.
Before Joffrey decides to kill Ned Stark, this is where Ned is going to be exiled.
My mother wishes me to let Lord Eddard join the Night's Watch. Stripped of all titles and powers, he would serve the realm in permanent exile.
And on top of the Night's Watch's bad reputation, their numbers are dwindling.
There are less than 1,000 of us now.
The decline of this military order mirrors the deterioration we're seeing in the rest of the realm, where honor can be fatal. People have become complacent and oblivious to the dangers they face, and that's why it's so easy for them to take the Night's Watch for granted.
Lord Commander asks that we send more men to man the wall.
Perhaps he's forgotten we're fighting a war we have no men to spare.
Most regard the Watch as a misguided, obsolete order made up of useless outcasts, admittedly. The current Night's Watch is a shadow of its former glory.
But as the White Walkers advance, these summer-minded Southerners are about to be faced with a stern wake-up call. At the end of Season 7, the White Walkers breach the wall in a devastating blow to the Night's Watch, whose entire identity is based on guarding that wall.
I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards from the realm of men.
In Season 8, the Watch's role has to be radically redefined as they transition from watchers to soldiers in a great war. Meanwhile, looking back over the seasons, we can see how this organization has deeply shaped Jon Snow.
I'm a brother of the Night's Watch. I pledged them my life, my honor, my sword.
His sense of duty and purpose were formed in the Night's Watch, and this group gives us insight into the choices he will make as the story comes to an end.
There is only one war that matters. The Great War.
Before we go on, we want to talk about this video's sponsor. Skillshare is an online learning community where you can learn everything from video editing to business strategy, coding, or lucid dreaming. They offer 25,000 online classes from famous teachers at the top of their field. And right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. So click the link in the description below to sign up now. The Night's Watch philosophy is summed up by the vow all the men must take when they join.
And now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death.
This oath pledges service above all. It renounces all earthly connections that could tempt a man to abandon or compromise his service.
I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children.
This gets at how joining the Night's Watch is a form of death to the rest of the world.
Every man who joins the Night's Watch renounces all former titles, among other things.
But it's also, for many men, a new life, a second chance. Joining the Watch is a way for criminals or other outcasts to wipe the slate clean.
Once a man has taken the black, he's beyond reach of the law. All his past crimes are forgiven.
So while it does entail giving up a lot, the Brotherhood can offer a rare shot at redemption or atonement in an unforgiving world.
Class distinctions are left behind, as are past misdeeds. A man gets what he earns on the wall. And even the lowliest gutter snipe can rise up in rank if he proves himself worthy.
The members we meet vary greatly in what they make of this second chance. Broadly speaking, we see two categories within the Watch. There are the people like Jon or his best friend Samwell Tarly, who are misfits with unlocked potential. These misfits believe in the mission of the Watch, and they take this opportunity to prove themselves in a way they couldn't have in the outside world.
He's the commander we turned to when the night was darkest.
And then there are the bad apples, who don't really have any intention of improving themselves.
Carl Tanner from Gin Alley, drinking wine from the skull of Gior Mormont.
To some degree, the two types loosely align with those who choose the Watch versus those for whom it's a punishment. But even those who ostensibly choose to be there often didn't really have another option.
Sam's no different from the rest of us. There was no place for him in the world, so he's come here.
Sam's father threatened him with death if he didn't join.
If you do not, he said, then we'll have a hunt, and somewhere in these woods your horse will stumble, and you'll be thrown from your saddle to die, or so I'll tell your mother.
And Sam wouldn't have chosen this life because, despite his mental alacrity, he's physically weak, lacking the bodily endurance required.
I'm a coward. My father always says so.
Sam becomes stronger thanks to his trials. He finds the bravery to rescue Gilly and her baby, and like Jon, he's seized with an invigorating sense of purpose. The Night's Watch gives this self-professed coward the chance to prove he is worthy. So even those for whom the Watch is a last resort have the potential to create a new life through their service.
I am a man of the Night's Watch, Gilly. I made a promise to defend the wall, and I have to keep it. Because that's what men do.
Moreover, there are some truly illustrious men in the Watch, reminding us of the Order's prestigious history and the noble mission at its core.
100 generations have defended this castle. She's never fallen before. She will not fall tonight.
Some even come from great houses, like Gior Mormont and Aemon Targaryen, who is, before Daenerys returns, the last Targaryen in Westeros. Jon's uncle Benjen Stark, the ranger who partly inspires Jon to join, also embodies that honor of belonging to the Watch.
I'm the first ranger. My job is out there.
While the Lannisters are dismissive of this group,
Wildlings and White Walkers and whatnot. We're grateful. It's about good, strong men like you protecting us.
it's significant that Ned Stark admires the Watch.
It's great honor serving in the Night's Watch.
And considers it a respectable destiny for Jon. And Jon has a romantic view of what the Watch represents.
We've guarded the kingdoms for 8,000 years.
Is it we already?
Jon himself is the quintessential example of someone who has no real place in society, who uses the Night's Watch as an escape hatch and rises in the ranks.
Mormont himself chose Jon to be his steward. He saw something in Jon, and now we've all seen it too.
After joining, he takes his oath so seriously, he even turns down Stannis Baratheon's offer to make him a legitimate Stark and Lord of Winterfell.
I swore a vow to the Night's Watch. If I don't take my own word seriously, what sort of Lord of Winterfell would I be?
One reason Jon is eager to join the Night's Watch is because he thinks he won't be treated like a bastard there, the way he is in Winterfell.
Lady Stark thought it might insult the royal family to seat a bastard in their midst.
Well, you're always welcome on the wall. No bastard was ever refused a seat there.
But when he gets to the wall, we see that there's also a part of him that holds on to those old ideas of class that defined his life with the Starks. On some level, he thinks he's better than the rest of these people and deserves to be rewarded for how much he's given up.
But I'm better than every other.
Better than no one.
As we see when he's upset about being made a steward instead of a ranger.
Do you take me for a servant?
We took you for a man of the Night's Watch. But perhaps we were wrong in that.
Jon needs to learn that for better or worse, joining the Watch means letting your old life go completely.
I belong with my brother.
But we're your brothers now.
Everyone has to start from scratch here.
Here, a man gets what he earns. When he earns it.
The men of the Night's Watch have no bloodline or class. They are only their duty. At the same time, over the seasons, we see how Jon is not willing to be bound by the Watch's narrower sense of duty alone. His advocacy for the wildlings shows that he refuses to stop thinking for himself. He can't help departing from the Watch's rules when he disagrees. And this foreshadows that he has a bigger destiny. There is also an extent to which the Watch's way of life can be unnecessarily restrictive and even breed an unhealthy environment. A key tenet of the Night's Watch philosophy is that the men are supposed to be cut off from love.
Love is the death of duty.
But Sam disproves this. His bravery is driven by love.
What kind of man would I be if I ran away when I saw someone hurting you?
He shows us that being a kind, warm-hearted person is not antithetical to doing this job.
He risked his own life to save mine more than once. He's a greater warrior than either of you will ever be.
He even discovers the secret to killing White Walkers: dragonglass.
But no one's killed a White Walker in thousands of years.
Well, I suppose someone had to be the first.
Why shouldn't these men be allowed some love and levity when they have one of the hardest jobs in the realm? So there are a few fatal flaws inherent to the Night Watch's setup. The scarcity, isolation, and aura of disgrace can lead to resentment and infighting. The fact that so many men don't choose to be there lends to it the feeling of a prison. How can men truly embrace their duty if they don't embrace it of their own free will?
They were given a choice, no doubt. Castration or the wall. Most choose the knife.
Men like Janice Slint and Carl Tanner fail to let go of their former lives and demonstrate the darker side of the Watch.
I was a f***ing legend, Ginelli.
Janice is still fixated on these things from his old life, like social rank.
I have friends, important friends in the capital.
And the fact that Jon is supposedly a bastard.
You can stick your order up your bastard ass.
He still hasn't accepted that your former life doesn't matter here. So Janice fails in the Watch because he never even tried to start over. In Season 3, Carl rebels against Jeor Mormont's orders and starts a fight which leads to Rast, another bad apple who was sent to the wall for rape, stabbing Jeor to death. Then in Season 4, we learn that Carl has taken up residence at Craster's Keep and is now just as terrible as Craster ever was.
Poor girls, never thought they'd miss their daddy. Carl's running things now.
Ultimately, the Night's Watch can bring out the best or worst in a person, but it's up to each man to decide for himself if he's going to take advantage of that opportunity to start over.
Here, you begin anew.
The Night's Watch is linked to the color black.
Next time I see you, you'll be all in black.
It was always my color.
Taking their oath is said to be taking the black. Black represents that these men live a life without color, without joy, freedom, or sex.
No wonder you're all so miserable.
Fittingly, black also makes us think of night. Thousands of years ago, the terrible winter when the White Walkers first appeared was called the Long Night.
Thousands of years ago, there came a night that lasted a generation.
After years of conflict, the first men built the wall to prevent another White Walker invasion, and the Night's Watch was formed to guard it. In the present, the men's service pretty much feels like a never-ending dark night.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death.
Living on the wall is like living in an eternal winter, with no hope of a brighter tomorrow, or summer to look forward to.
I'll never see my family again. I'll never be inside a woman again. Just don't tell me about fear.
So the Night's Watch is an experience of endurance, enduring the cold, the isolation, and the endless, unglamorous work.
People talk about the Night's Watch. Never mention the shoveling. All the shit.
Black also sets the Night's Watch up in opposition to the White Walkers, and it makes us think of seeing a conflict as black and white, good versus evil, which is the mindset Jon Snow adopts as he tries to unite all the living against the dead.
The White Walkers don't care if a man's free folk or crow. We're all the same to them, meat for their army. But together, we can beat them.
Here, though, the traditional Western symbolic connotations of the colors are inverted. White symbolizes death, and black life. While we tend to think of hope like a light in the darkness, in this world, it takes the form of these men dressed in black amidst a stark white landscape. The contrast of their black clothing and the vast snowy backdrop emphasizes their vulnerability and their impossible task, as these all-too-mortal guys go up against a terrifying force that threatens to engulf all of mankind.
If we don't win this fight, then that is the fate of every person in the world.
In Season 2, Ygritte repeatedly points out that the fundamental difference between the Night's Watch and the wildlings like her is that the men of the Watch aren't free.
You think you're better than me, Crow? I'm a free woman.
And in some ways, this is true. Duty may well be the opposite of freedom. But the men of the Night's Watch don't give up that freedom for nothing. They get the self-worth that comes with providing valuable work. They experience what it is to be truly necessary. And this is the major gift that the Watch gives Jon Snow: purpose.
The war is not over. And I promise you, friend, the true enemy won't wait out the storm. He brings the storm.
Ygritte once tells Jon,
You didn't stop being a crow the day you walked into Mance Rayder's tent.
and even after he's stabbed by the mutineers and resurrected, though he leaves the watch behind,
My watch is ended.
Jon still doesn't stop being a crow in a fundamental sense.
He's a crow. He'll always be a crow.
His greater sense of duty, his commitment to protecting mankind from the greatest threat, continues to trump everything. This can mean he has to make some tough choices, as we've seen before, and may see again in Season 8. The Night's Watch men are called crows, likely due to their black clothing.
The crows would never catch up with us.
Not as much a crow as they are.
Crows are not the most charming, pretty, or delicate of birds. This absence of glamour is a key aspect of the Night's Watch, because that's what duty is. It's doing hard work that's never applauded.
I tell you about honor, pardoning crimes, protecting the realm, but shoveling really is most of it.
We usually consider crows a nuisance, just as the men of the Night's Watch are looked down on by most of society. But even if crows aren't exactly beautiful, our world needs them. They eat insects that can harm plants, and they store more seeds than they eat, which helps with forest renewal. And Westeros very much needs the Night's Watch.
Night gathers, and my watch begins. I am the shield that guards the realms of men.
Crows are known as highly intelligent animals. We see that intellect in certain members like Sam and their maester Aemon. And as a group, they've developed smart defensive techniques for the wall, which help them fend off far more attackers than their ranks should be able to handle. Crows are associated with death and darkness. A group of crows is even called a murder of crows. And the Night's Watch has to confront death every day because of their proximity to the White Walkers and the wildlings. In stories, crows are often known as the bearers of bad news. In one Greek myth, when a white crow delivers bad news to Apollo, he turns the bird black in anger. The men of the Night's Watch likewise warn the realm about the White Walkers to no avail. Even their name, Night's Watch, tells us that these men are like the lone people awake on a dark night while everyone else sleeps. And this symbolizes how, besides the wildlings, the Watch is the only group that sees this threat to humanity from the beginning. The very first scene of the series shows a group of men of the Night's Watch being attacked by White Walkers. Afterwards, the lone survivor tries to spread the word.
I saw the White Walkers. People need to know.
But no one takes him seriously.
Is it true he saw the White Walkers?
The White Walkers have been gone for thousands of years.
And this poor man is executed for trying to make mankind understand what's coming. So there's a downside to being the only one awake.
One trip to the wall and you come back believing in grumpkins and snarks.
Crows and ravens are in the same family of birds. And in the books, the three-eyed raven of Bran's storyline is actually a crow. This association between the crows and the three-eyed raven highlights the supernatural air to watching over the wall. It's as if the crows are the bridge between the real and the surreal. Bran's and Jon's links with the raven and the crow underline a bond between them, and might foreshadow a shared purpose in the show's final chapter. Even if not all of the men of the Night's Watch live up to their once great reputation, the ideal of duty and service that they aspire towards is all too rare these days in the Seven Kingdoms.
A man of the Night's Watch lives his life for the realm.
Most characters on Game of Thrones spend their lives not even pretending to care about anyone but themselves.
I don't care about checking my worst impulses. I don't care about making the world a better place.
And for a long time, they have the luxury of being oblivious to the threats in the north and denying the existence of the creatures beyond the wall, thanks to the Night's Watch. So while this brotherhood is meant to protect the realm, really it prepares people like Jon and Sam far more than anyone else, because they understand the danger they're facing. That's what will make the Night's Watch and its former members essential in the epic battle to come. The best tools that key players like Jon and Sam have are the values that the Night's Watch has instilled in them: service, endurance, and duty above all. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. an online learning community we love. With over 25,000 classes taught by seasoned pros, Skillshare has a class on pretty much anything you could want. You can develop your creativity through a class on calligraphy, graphic design, or writing. You can learn to succeed in business with classes on how to make it as a freelancer, market a podcast, or become an Instagram influencer. You can use it to master new technology through classes on web design, coding, and data science. Or you can bring that extra flair into your lifestyle, sharpen your knife skills, learn papermaking, speak Spanish, or let Julia Turshen, a best-selling cookbook author, teach you how to bake with yeast. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free, but that's only if you're one of the first 500 people to click the link in the description below. You don't want to miss this deal, so check it out today.